I'm Will Raymond. I'm the Water Operations Supervisor at the Truckee Meadows Water Authority, and I'm going to talk a little bit today about how we clean water at the Chalk Bluff Water Treatment Plant. There are two sources of supply for the Chalk Bluff Water Treatment Plant. The Highland Canal brings gravity feed water into the plant right from the Truckee River. It's just upstream at a different headgate facility, or we can pump water from the Truckee River right down off of 4th Street into our treatment plant. There are 6 stages in water treatment at the Chalk Bluff facility. The first stage is a PreSettling Pond or raw water basin, and essentially that is used to allow some of the particulate matter to settle out and let some slow the water coming in so we can settle out particles and mud and sludge and things like that. And the water is very clean, but when you're talking about anywhere from 30 million gallons of water a day to 90 million gallons of water a day, it's a lot of sediment accumulation that we have a treatment process for. That's stage 1. Stage 2 is a rapid mix stage, and essentially imagine a giant blender. We're adding our coagulant to the raw water so that we can disperse that chemical into the water, get those particles to start colliding, neutralize the charges, get them to essentially disperse, and so we can remove them a little bit better down in the treatment process. Stage 3 is flocculation. The flocculation stage is really meant to, now that you've added that chemical, you want to start to have collisions. You want to start to collide those particles of flock together so they form a little bit larger and heavier particles that you can settle out later in the treatment process. Flocculation is essentially you've got a number of mixing paddles with greater mixing energy at the front of the plant with a little bit slower at the end of the plant so you don't shear apart the particles that you've worked so hard to create. Stage 4 would be sedimentation. It's a clarifying step. Essentially, you're taking that flock that you've now created in stage 3 and you're allowing it to settle out so it can be removed and recycled at a different stage of the treatment plant. Sedimentation really is a process of these particles of dirt that we formed in stage 3 now have to work their way up against these parallel plates against gravity, so the only way to get into these clean water troughs is to work against the settling plates and against gravity. So that's stage 4. Stage 5 would be filtration, and we have a deep bed dual media filtration process here at the Chalk Bluff plant. It's about 60 inches of anthracite coal and 12 inches of silica sand, and essentially the water that has been settled out in stage 4 now goes on the top of these giant filters so that they would percolate through the anthracite coal, through the silica sand, and through an underdrain structure so that it goes into a common trough so it can go to the final stage. The final stage really isn't something that is seen, but there's an injection point where we add sodium hypochlorite, which is bleach. That's the disinfectant that is required to be in the water, and that disinfection stage is stage 6, is what goes into on-site storage areas to give that chlorine some contact time to make sure there are no bugs growing in the water. It's maintain a disinfectant residual, and we send it out to our customers. And that's essentially the 6 basic steps of water treatment at the Chalk Bluff Water Treatment Plant.